and doTERRA versus Young Living, that's going to help you in life. Like, it's so important to try to be a reasonable person by focusing on the truth, by seeking understanding. Hey, it's Lance here, and today I wanted to respond to an article that I found on the Salt Lake Tribune. There's also another source for this information with regards to Judge finds Young Living acted in bad faith and orders it to pay doTERRA $1.8 million. Holy smokes. If you watch some of my other videos, I did cover the lawsuit outcome, and just as a kind of recap of that, doTERRA won the lawsuit. And sometimes people say, well, why don't you just focus on your own company, Lance? And why don't you just, if doTERRA's products are so great, they should just sell themselves. And the reason why I cover this type of information is, number one, is because there's a lot of hearsay and half-truths out there, and it's important to get the facts. And number two, I get so many comments that also display that, and it's important to have a nice fact-based way to do your own research and come to your own accurate conclusion, regardless of whatever company you're with. And that is really the key. It's, can you, suspend your disbelief or suspend your bias for one moment to get the facts and just kind of come to an accurate conclusion as to what happened. And so I'm just going to respond to this article and kind of read it off and give my own commentary as well. Alright, so again, this is from the Salt Lake Tribune. The link will be in the description as well, so you can check it out, and I'll have a couple other sources of information where you can learn more about this as well. But this is by Nate Carls. So the article says that he wrote, a Utah judge has ordered the therapeutic oils company Young Living Essential Oils LC to pay competitor doTERRA Inc. about $1.8 million in attorney fees and other costs related to a long-running lawsuit over executives who left the former company to start the latter. Well, there's a lot of comments about people saying, doTERRA stole information or stole a laptop or stole this or stole that. And my response to that is always, where is your evidence? Where is your fact-based evidence to support your claims? And they're not able to provide that in such a fact-based way. And so in order to come to accurate conclusions, we need complete information and accurate information, and we also need to interpret those factors properly in order to come to that accurate conclusion. All right, so that's very important when you're looking at information, whether you're for or against a company or outcome. All right, so I'm going to continue reading here. Young Living lost that lawsuit last year, and so there's a link here that shows that. Right there. But anyways, it says doTERRA argued the suit never had merit and Young Living should pay its legal fees. 4th District Judge Christine Johnson on Tuesday. So Tuesday of this article is July, so it was published July 12th but updated on July 13th. Alright, just for a little context there. So it says the 4th District Judge Christine Johnson on Tuesday ordered the fees to be paid. In her written ruling, Johnson agreed with doTERRA that Young Living pursued its lawsuit in bad faith. And so that's from the actual judge that's saying that. The general counsel for doTERRA said in a news release that he was glad Johnson found Young Living filed an ill-advised lawsuit. Nevertheless, Wolford said, we look forward to a less contentious relationship with Young Living in a time where both companies may now focus on their respective missions and sharing essential oils. And I think at the end of the day, that is what's most important. It's, let's put aside what happened in the past. And, it's important to have fact-based, again, evidence to support what is hearsay or half-truths of what happened in the past. But it's rulings like this that basically can allow both companies to move on, can allow distributors from, Young Living or customers to move on, can allow wholesale customers as well as wellness advocates to move on as well. And everyone else on the outside looking in, whether you're for or against MLMs, you have one more data piece or data point to help you kind of get the bigger picture of what happened, in addition to the fact-based resources I provided in my other videos, the doTERRA versus Young Living videos, as well as the lawsuit outcome videos. All right, so we'll continue here. It says, in its own news release, Young Living focused on how a statute of limitations prevented a jury from hearing some of its assertions and arguments. Right? So the timing of when they were able to provide information basically was not met. And that is probably one of the main arguments that Young Living folks, as well as Young Living, kind of have. Like, hey, we weren't able to bring to the table the evidence that would basically support our claims about what we're making. And, I mean, the statute of limitations is just that. It's a statute of limitations. If you're going to come to the table with a lawsuit, you should have all your facts and all of your information lined up, and it should be complete and it should be accurate, and in this case it should be timely within the statute of limitations to make sure that your claims are supported. And so that wasn't done. And again, that is the main argument with Young Living's folks. One of the main questions I have with that is, why was that the case? Why wasn't there complete information or accurate information, whether one or both of those, in the timeliness that was needed to basically support their claims? What's the reasoning behind that? So there is a transcript available that I have in my other videos that I show. But anyways, we're going to continue reading here. In quotations here, Young Living appealed the verdict of the case as we fervently desire the full truth of our story and doTERRA's to still be told, the statement said. Besides assertions that the doTERRA founders violated their employment contracts and ran off with Young Living's trade secrets, there were cross-claims that the rival companies contaminated their products with chemicals. Young Living once sought $12 million in damages. And it goes on here, by the time the lawsuit reached trial in June 2017, the only remaining claim was the breach of contract. Young Living reduced its request for damages to a token $1. What does that tell you? Well, they didn't have the facts to support their claims, and they weren't able to provide those in a timely way. And the next question is why weren't they able to provide those facts that support their claims within the statute of limitations? Again, the main argument is, well, they weren't able to give the information within the time frame, but it's like, well, why not? Let's explore that, and then let's seek understanding, and let's seek the truth so that we can come, again, to an accurate conclusion. And this is what I, talk a lot about in my videos, and a lot of this is, you're either for or against Young Living, you're either for or against doTERRA, you're either for or against an MLM, business model. There's lots of different kind of audiences that watch my videos, but at the end of the day, a reasonable person focuses on the truth and seeking understanding and finding solutions. An unreasonable person will focus on basically trying to win, trying to be right, and blaming and shaming the other person so that they can, win. It's like a tennis match with the unreasonable person when it doesn't need to be a tennis match. It really should be a fact-finding, truth-based, solution-oriented, approach with the reasonable person. And that's, again, more in the context of maybe conflict resolution, but that's still very applicable to business, health, relationships, because all those involve people, and whenever there's people, there's going to be problems. And so it's important to weather the storms of life and manage those better, not perfectly, right? We're not going to do perfect, but try to do things with excellence and have a lot of self-awareness. And a lot of times we don't get that until things are brought to light, or in my comment section, one of my intentions is to educate and to help people kind of see how they're communicating. And let's have a reasonable discussion. Let's talk about the facts. Let's look up stuff. Let's find, sources for your claims. Cite your sources. I'm citing mine, and are my videos 100% perfect every time? No, but I always reserve the opportunity to do better and improve, and if there's a adjustment or correction that I can make in the description or future videos, I do that. I'm open to constructive feedback. Obviously I get deconstructive as well, but I can't pick and choose what I get. I just get what I get. But I appreciate feedback in general because it is information from another person's perspective, and we should look for the kernel of truth or the watermelon of truth that is in that particular piece of feedback so that we can improve, ideally. That is more of a reasonable approach, as I was talking about earlier, but the unreasonable person doesn't really care about all that. They just want to win and be right, which, if you have that much of a competitive spirit, maybe you should play sports or intramurals or do something where you can allow your dominance to take over, but not when it comes to like resolving problems, like in your business, health, or relationships. Like, that's so much better to like go play a sport or something. Anyways, I digress. Let's continue here. It says, after an 18-day trial in Provo, a jury found that doTERRA executives did not breach the terms of their employment with Young Living. In her ruling in doTERRA's favor, Johnson wrote Young Living was wrong to even file the lawsuit. That's huge right there. There is a 3-year statute of limitations on claims of stolen trade secrets. doTERRA was founded in 2008, and the lawsuit was filed in 2012. So that was 4 years, so they missed that window. Again, I did cover that in my lawsuit outcome videos as well in a little bit more detail. And then finally it says, Johnson found that Young Living tampered with a computer to mislead her about when the company discovered a business plan had been accessed. That's huge. Let me read that again, because that is what the judge found. All right, so again, this is from the Salt Lake Tribune, All right, so this is a reputable newspaper agency, and where they said Johnson, the judge, found that Young Living tampered with a computer to mislead her, the judge, about when the company discovered a business plan had been accessed. That extended the case and doTERRA's legal fees for years, Johnson wrote. And so that basically ends it right here. And there's also a Reddit post I'll have in the link in the description as well as another newspaper article that's covering this as well. And so those are a few different starting points. And again, whether you're for or against Young Living, for or against doTERRA, for or against MLMs, this information is another data point. And I read some comments already, and it's kind of one of the comments from the anti-MLMers is, well, it's just a company scamming another company and then getting caught for it, and they're just kind of like really against, they're just basically saying it's a scam to begin with, and then they're kind of like battling it out between each other, when really it's not, right? At the end of the day, these are just companies. Yes, they are network marketing. They follow a word-of-mouth, referral-based marketing system, and there's people that are very entrenched emotionally, financially, or time-wise with companies, and when this information comes out, you have a choice. You can basically seek understanding, you can seek the truth, or you can try to win and you can try to be right, and those are all going to be at odds with one another, right? Because remember, seeking understanding and seeking the truth is reasonable, and then you have trying to win and trying to be right, which is unreasonable. And in order to do the reasonable side, you have to have fact-based evidence, and not just on one side. You really need third party, this is third party. This is the Salt Lake Tribune. This is not from a MLM company. This isn't from somebody that is on the anti-MLM Reddit post either, so you clearly know where they stand. This is just presenting the facts and what was the outcome. And just because you don't like the outcome also doesn't mean that it isn't true. And a lot of times people are like, well, I'm entrenched with the company. They don't say this because this obviously requires more self-awareness, but they're just, they're entrenched either financially or product-wise or time-wise or emotionally, and the outcome is not favorable, and it makes the company that you maybe have that attachment to look less good in the light. And another comment that I get, besides "shame on you, Lance, for presenting the facts," that's not how they say it, but it's like "shame on you, Lance, for digging up dirt." This isn't dirt. This is publicly available information from third parties that you can do your own research on. All I am is presenting the facts, because I do get so much hearsay and half-truths, and the comments, again, they just build up on specific videos. They just keep building up, and I get to a point where it's like, I need to address this. It's important that you have the facts, again, complete facts, accurate facts, so you can come to an accurate conclusion. How you interpret this information is going to be based on your own belief system, your values, how you were raised, again, your involvement with a company or not, your views of the MLM industry or not. Like, a lot of that is on the audience member or yourself, and so all I'm doing on my end is just giving people a starting point for more research and more information, and allowing you to come to your own conclusion. And so that is the name of the game, right? We want to ideally focus on reasonability, and that's going to not just help you when it comes to looking at articles and doTERRA versus Young Living. That's going to help you in life. Like, it's so important to try to be a reasonable person by focusing on the truth, by seeking understanding, and again, that's going to help you in business, your relationships for your spouse or your kids or your grandkids, as well as your health, and looking at all that. And when you do that more, you become a better version of yourself, and allows you to live your best life regardless of outcomes, regardless of you thinking somebody dug up dirt, or light is not being shined in the right direction, or it's just, let's focus on how to become a reasonable person. Right? Let's do that, and let's have a reasonable discussion. You present your side, I present my side, we can agree to disagree. And when people use shaming tactics, it's such a way to avoid all that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, so you can't deal with the truth that you've been given. You're not going to seek understanding because it makes you feel some type of way, and instead of like dealing with that in a healthy and mature way, you're going to resort to shaming or projecting what your own insecurities or negativity is on another person. Like, I'm not bad-mouthing anyone. I'm just reading an article and providing more information about what I've done in my past with other videos, and I believe both companies have a lot of value to offer, but at the same time, there isn't a squeaky clean history between them, and it's important people know the history so that they can, again, come to accurate conclusions. There's so many people that are just kind of like, I heard, or this happened. It's just like, no, that's not the whole story, or that's not actually accurate, or that's partially true, or that's mostly true, but And, obviously if you have a cognitive bias, which everyone does, a lot of times people leave comments like, Lance, you're biased. And I'm like, Google cognitive bias and tell me how it's showing up in your language, please. Like, I admit I have a cognitive bias. Everyone does. And trust me, when you Google that, you'll see, okay, yeah, he's right on that one. Not that I'm even trying to be right. I'm just speaking the truth. Everyone has a cognitive bias. Like, it's important that you just are aware of your own. And again, I'm kind of going in, some people kind of like, well, that's too much psychology, Lance. And it's like, nah, it's just keeping it real. Like, it is psychology, yes. And it's important to know thyself so that you can interact with others better. And again, hopefully this has helped you. If not, you got triggered and you're probably going to leave a comment on this one or another video. But either way, I still love you. You know what I'm saying? I love the haters. I love the lovers. I love everyone that's neutral or on the fence, or even if you're an anti-MLMer, I still love you, because at the end of the day, I'm just here to help people, whether you see that or not, and that is my intent. Educate, to inspire, to have fun and keep it real a little bit, right? And that's basically it. But other than that, hey, hit the like button if you got some value out of today's video, or maybe saw things from a different perspective that maybe you can kind of take into your own life in different areas. Or check out the links in the description below so you can check this article out in more detail, read some of the comments, check out the Reddit post, as well as check out the other article that's covering this, because then you'll get more perspective. And keep that whole reasonability factor in mind, right? Truth and understanding and finding solutions, reasonable, versus trying to win, trying to be right, and blaming and shaming others, unreasonable. And if you kind of have that filter when you read articles and see things, or even look at yourself, I think that'll be really helpful from a personal development standpoint. But otherwise, hey, again, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you in the next video. Yeah.